Luke 15, verse 1. Then drew near to Jesus all the publicans, the tax collectors, and sinners to hear him. All right? Because Jesus just told some fantastic parables, and he got all the sinners, all the people who were not deserving, they all came to hear him because they loved Jesus. Verse 2, but look who else was there. The Pharisees and the scribes who thought they were deserving, they were all there as well. And look what they were doing. The Pharisees and the scribes what? Murmured. They complained. They were, look at this Jesus. This man, who is this man? Jesus. Look at what he's doing. He receives what? Sinners. Look at all those publicans and all those sinners. Look at Jesus. I mean, did you look at Jesus? Look at Jesus. He not only receives sinners, but he what? Eats with them. I mean, think about that. He eats with sinners. Jesus, friend of sinners, eating with them. Ooh, terrible. Would you eat with a sinner? You see? All the Pharisees and scribes. So you see, Jesus started then sharing parables with them. And that was how we get to the 99 Pharisees on the wall parable. Yes. But today, since we are going to the last of this parable, so we call this parable one of the most beautiful in the Bible. I think it's the one which everybody knows. It's the parable of the three prodigals. All right? And somebody will probably ask me right now, what three prodigals? They say there's only one prodigal. No, there are three prodigals in this story, in this parable. First of all, let us define the word prodigal. Prodigal means extravagant. All right? So that's the word prodigal. You can look up in the dictionary. Prodigal means extravagant. All right? So there were three prodigals in this story. And this will probably be a two-part message, but I will get started today from verse 11. Verse 11. He said, Jesus says, a certain man had two sons. Let's move on. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. And he divided unto them his living. Okay. What we call the parable of the prodigal son. All right. So, but as we go along this parable, you'll find that there are three prodigals in this story. Okay. The first thing is, the younger son came to the father and asked him, Father, give me my portion of the inheritance. Because it's mine. It falls to me. And the father divided unto them his living. And you may say, well, what's so strange about this? It is very, very strange because there is a law that governs this. And the law is found in Deuteronomy. All right? You see, in the law, if you do something wrong, okay, and in this church you know the law very well. If you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. All right? And the bad can be really bad. Okay? So let's read Deuteronomy 21, starting from verse 17 to verse 21. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he has. The firstborn son always gets double portion. All right? In this case, there were two sons. Correct? This father had two sons. So the firstborn sons always gets double of the second son. So what is the proportion of the firstborn son's inheritance? In this case, He gets twice, right? So, what do you think is the younger son's portion? If the first son gets twice, what do you think the younger son should get? Okay, here's some mathematics now. If the first son gets double of the second son, what do you think the second son, the younger son, gets? 1/3, right? 1/3, that means the first son gets how many? 2/3. 2/3, 1/3. All right, that's how you divide up. Of course, you can go back home and figure out what happens if he has 3 sons. Okay? Because the first son still gets double portion of all the others. All right? Giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength, the right of the firstborn is his. All right? I'm just showing you this because that's also covered by the law. Okay, next verse, please. Now, and this is closely linked. You see, when the father is about to die, then he divides up the inheritance. But sometimes, some of the sons says, well, I'm not going to wait until my father is up on his deathbed. I want my money and I want it now. Because I'm governed by the law, the father has to give me this. But so when a son says that, this son is actually rebellious, all right? He's doing something which is not considered correct. So if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, all right, asking things, doing things which are not, remember this is the law, right? None of you sons would like this law, but look at this. Law, you like the law? This is what the law says. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, all right, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken to them. So they'll talk to him, they'll say things, but the son says, I don't want to listen to you. I want my share and I want it now. Then shall his father and his mother, look at this, the law, lay hold on him, the son, and bring him out unto the elders of the city and unto the gate of his place. Next verse. And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this is our stubborn son. This is our rebellious son. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton, drunkard. He just do basically what he wants to do. And all the men of his city shall what? Stone him with stones, that he dies. So shall you put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Wow. That's the law for you. How many sons do we have here? Well, I don't think you like this very much. So that's basically what should happen, all right? Let's go back to the parable. So if you do something wrong, all right, as a son, even as a daughter, if you do something wrong, this is your punishment under the law. Remember, you do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad, real bad, to the point of death. So it's to put fear in you. The law is to show you how bad you are, as I keep telling you. The law, which people seem to fight for, people say, hey, I want the law. This is actually what happens to you. The law is very much similar to a New Age philosophy, something called karma. Have you all heard about karma before? Karma is you do something good to somebody, and then somewhere this universe will produce some good things, and it will all flow, and it'll come to you and rest upon you, and then good things will happen to you. You do good, you get good. If you do something bad, like you are walking along the street, and suddenly you see a squirrel, and you say, nobody's looking. You kick the squirrel, and the squirrel flies and hits the building and bounces off. And you say, hey, nobody's looking. But you see, that's karma. Somewhere in the universe, you just kick a squirrel, so the squirrel god is angry with you. So somewhere that karma will flow, and as you are driving, this elephant will appear and hit your car. Well, that's karma. You did bad to the squirrel, the elephant god comes, Do bad, you get bad. Exactly. And that's actually what the law is. Do good, get good. Do bad, get bad. And sometimes to the point of death. So, when the son comes and asks the father, he is basically saying, Father, I wish you would die so you can give me this money. I have 1/3 of the inheritance because he's the younger son, not the older son, all right? The older son gets how many? 2/3. The younger son gets 1/3. So, the younger one said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods, my 1/3 of the goods, and look at what the father does. Remember, this is something that is not done. The father loved his 2 sons. Loved his 2 sons. Both sons. Not one son. He loved both his sons. So he did the unimaginable. He's not dying, but he divided up the inheritance for them. Now, think about this. What about all the other men in the village? They know the law. All the other fathers who have property, houses, money, animals, goods, how do you think they feel? This father is breaking the law. This father, out of love for his 2 sons, is breaking the law. What do you think about all the other sons in the village? Once they start to hear that, hey, I can get money before my father dies, what do you think they're going to do? Yeah, exactly. They're going to ask for money too. They say, look, what a bad influence these people are on the whole village. If this father is willing to give money to the kids way before he dies, then all the other kids will be influenced, and they will all start to ask for money. They will all start to ask for their inheritance. And look, this whole village will be in complete chaos. So they got very angry. And when they get angry, they're going to come after the younger son who caused all these problems. So the younger son had to leave the village. Not out of fear of the father. Look, the father loved the younger son. And he did the unthinkable. He actually divided up his money for him. And look, not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country. You see, the younger son had to leave because everybody was angry with him. Many people say the younger son had to leave because the father was angry. The father was not angry with the son. Otherwise, he would say, well, let's drag my younger son out of the city gates and have him, come on, that was the law, have him stoned. This rebellious young son of mine, he doesn't want to listen. He just wants to drink, he just wants to party, he just wants to do everything. So let's have him stoned to death. But the father loved him. The father loved his 2 sons. So he did what nobody else would do. Gave them all that he had. But other people were angry. So the younger son had to go. He went into a far country. Didn't want anybody to come and catch him, so he went far, far away. And there, of course, he wasted his substance with riotous living. All right? As expected. That's why many people say this is the parable of the prodigal son. This son was prodigal. He was extravagant in his spending. Yeah, I got money now. Yes, I got property now. Of course, you see, he probably sold everything immediately after he inherited from his father. 2 for 1. I got 2 pieces of land. You can buy it for the price of 1. Let's sell everything. Let's get out of town because everybody is angry with me. So, he was extravagant in his spending. That's why he was called the prodigal son. And he spent everything that he had. Let's move on. When he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. No more money. Now what do? He went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, faraway country, new laws, new customs, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine, pigs. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat, but no man even gave to him those husks. So think about this. All right? Let's read Leviticus first, because just in case you do not understand what this swine mean in the Bible for this person. Leviticus 11, 7 to 8. And the swine, the pigs, though he divides the hoof, but he be cloven-footed, but he does not chew the cud, he is unclean to you. All right? Next verse. Of their flesh you shall not eat, of their carcass you shall not touch, they are unclean to you. So the pig, according to the law, is unclean. Do not touch it. Do not eat it. That's the law. Do good, get good. Do bad, get bad. So if you eat pork, under the law. And just in case you do not eat pork, you say, I only eat, other types of things. We don't have to go there, all right? But if you go down to verse 9, 10, 11, and so on, if you eat shrimp, it's the same. I know people love lobsters. That's what you're saying. Yes. You go and you read a few more lines and it says it's an abomination to you. It's unclean. Why are you eating lobster? Do bad, get bad. Yes. So if you eat lobster, somewhere along the way, something will come and hit you. Yes, that's the law. If you eat shellfish, man, you end up in the hospital. Because it's also unclean. You see, so the law is very specific. You got to do some things and you cannot do some other things. The pig, bad. So let's go back to the parable now. Look at that. He's now going to go take care of pigs. But look, not only is he taking care of pigs, that means he has to touch them, but he cannot even eat what the pigs are eating. The pig is so unclean, and the pigs are eating husks, and he is even lower than what the pig is eating, so he is really low, this younger son. He cannot even eat the husks that the pigs are eating. So he's lower than the pig, and now he's lower than the husks that the pigs are eating, because he's not even allowed to eat that. By the way, husks actually have nothing. It's just fibrous. And this younger son is trying to go chew on that, and he says, no, you cannot have that, the owner says, because you are nothing. You are nothing. Oh, don't you love these parables that Jesus brings up? Let's move on. When he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? They don't even let me eat husks. And I'm taking care of pigs, and I'm in the mud, and I'm in all this filth. I am nothing. But I will arise, go to my father, and will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven before you, and no more worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired servants. All right, just stop there. We all know this parable very well. So think about the younger son now. He believes he is nothing. He says, look, I'm going to die here. So let me go back home at least. But when I go back home, I'm not a son anymore, because look what I did. I did the unthinkable. I asked for the inheritance. My father is still living. And so when I go back home, I will ask for a job. All right? I will ask for a job. I will work as a hired servant for my father. You know, I wasted everything. So I'll work for my father. I will make amends. I will pay back what I owe. I am worth nothing, but I will make it. I will work doubly hard, even if it kills me. I will pay back my father, whom I wronged. You know, that's what I'll do. And he arose, so went back home. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, had compassion, ran, fell on his neck, and kissed him. All right? Let's look at it properly. This younger son was living a long ways away, correct? So he started making his journey home. What do you think the father was doing every day? Every day the father would wake up and he would be thinking, one day my younger son would come back. So he would climb up this hill by the village every day. So he would climb up so he can look a great ways far away, because that's the word used here. He was a great ways away. So he climbed up this hill. The father would climb up this hill just right by the village. And he would look out into the distance. Do I see my son? He would spend several hours up there, looking into the horizon. Would my son come back today? Maybe today is the day where my younger son would come back to me. But no son ever came back. So when it got hotter or darker, the father would come down the hill, go back to his home, and says, well, my son didn't come back today. And then tomorrow morning, what do you think he would do again? He would climb up the hill again, look into the distance, because the father loved his son. And he looks into the distance, looks, spends hours up there again, and no son came back that day too. Came down the mountain, the hill, goes back home, sleeps. Next day he'll do the same thing. And he does this day after day, month after month, for a long, long time. And this was no special day. Went up the hill again, peered into the distance, and when the younger son was a great way off, oh, look, there's a little speck on the horizon. Nobody comes to this village, but look, here comes somebody familiar. His father saw him. Oh, look, my son had compassion. Every day he had compassion. But the Bible wants to stress this. He had compassion and ran. You may say, well, nothing strange in that. Think about this for a while. This is the Jewish culture. They wear gowns, and the men, they don't wear pants, you see. They have that, robe type things. You don't run with the rope, all right? Just like you don't ask women to run around in a skirt, right? So when he ran, he actually lifted up his robe, exposing his legs, and he started running through the village. What drama there was in the village streets. This older gentleman, you never expose your legs, all right? Running through the streets, Forrest Gump, but with skirt, and legs all exposed, slippers on his feet, running through the street. All the children says, look what that old elderly gentleman, the one who was rich before, look at him, zoom through the streets. And then call the fathers, all the mothers came out. What's happening? What's happening? Legs exposed. Just see the newspapers tomorrow with a picture of his legs. All the fathers came out, all the mothers came out, grabbed the little children. Close your eyes. And then they all saw it too. This son who caused all that problems is coming back. This is the day, yes, this is the day. All the other people, the father was gone. And all the people stood there watching into the distance. What was going to happen? Drama. Father kills son. Tomorrow's newspaper. Probably the father will pick up a stone. Son. Oh, there were big sticks around too, There's a village. Sticks, stones. Take up a stick, hit him. Surely something is going to happen. Everybody came to see it. Whole village came. This was that son. Created all this ruckus, all this chaos, all these terrible things. The rebellious son, the prodigal son. Extravagant in his spending, everybody came out. Gave him the evil eye. Double evil eyes. So they all were seeing this. The father ran. The unbelievable happened. He fell on his neck. Maybe he was going to choke him, strangle the son. And the father kissed the son. Unexpected. Well, let me show you something here. See, back again. Look, the Bible tells you things and shows you certain things which sometimes you may not catch. All right? Look. When he was a great way away, remember the father is doing this. The father saw him, all right? Let's count. Saw the son. What's the next one? Had compassion. Next one. Ran. Next one. Fell on his neck. And the last action is kiss him. 5 actions. The number 5 stands for grace. Did the son merit any of this? No. But the Bible shows you step by step what grace is. How the Father loved the Son. It was a prodigal father. Prodigal means extravagant. The father was extravagant in his love for his two sons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. In plain sight of everybody. Let's move on. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son. Next one. But the father said to his servants, okay, let's stop here. So the son started apologizing. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Remember what he said before? He's going to earn, right? He's going to be a servant. He wants to pay back the father. He has done so many wrong things. He said, well, of course my father would never accept me. So the only thing I can do is to do good works to pay back for all the bad I did. Do good to pay back all the bad I did. But you see, it is very clear that from the father's perspective, not the son's perspective, from the father's perspective, things are completely different. From God's perspective, it is completely different. You see, when God says, or the father in this story, says, you are my son, you are my daughter, Christine, you are my daughter. You may say, well, but look at all the things I did wrong. But from the father's perspective, God's perspective, he says, son, Justin, son, Hannah, daughter, your position as son or daughter, Sally, and daughter never changes. You were born a son, you were born a daughter. And you, no matter what you do in this life, you remain a son and a daughter. Your position as son and daughter is completely secure and you cannot lose it. You see, from the son or the daughter's perspective is, I have done wrong, therefore I am no longer a son or a daughter. Because I did wrong, so I lost my sonship or daughtership. I lost it because I did wrong. But that's from the son or the daughter's perspective. You see, the son or the daughter is not thinking like the father. The son or daughter is thinking like a servant. You see, what is the difference between a son and a servant? The son and the daughter has a position. The servant have no position. The servant is a worker. So if the servant does good, the servant is rewarded. If the servant does bad, the servant is punished. The servant has no position. But the son or a daughter has a position. So if the son or daughter does wrong, the son or daughter is still the son or daughter because of the position by birth. And that's why we are born again into the family of God through Jesus Christ. You cannot lose your position as son or daughter. You cannot lose it because from the father's perspective, he looks at you, Donna, and he says, you are my daughter. And you say, but I can. No, it's not from your perspective. Your perspective is as the younger son. Let's go back again. All right. No more worthy to be called your son or your daughter. I'm not worthy. Look, I'm lower than the pigs, lower than the husk, lower than anybody, lower than the servants. Low, low, low. Not worthy. People tell me I'm not worthy. People laugh at me. People step on me. I smell like the pigs. Everything that people can throw at you, and you can say, yes, I am no more worthy. Let's go back another one. Another verse. Remember? Saw him, had compassion, ran, fell on his neck, and kissed him. 5 actions of grace. You see, it's not because the son or daughter merited that the father comes and loves him or her. It's nothing to do with your actions. It has nothing to do with what this younger son did. Did he spend all his inheritance? Did he ask for something which he was not supposed to ask? Yes, he did all those mistakes. Yes, he made mistake after mistake after mistake. But it wasn't based upon his merit. It was based upon the father's love. Saw him, compassion, ran, fell on his neck, and kissed him. 5. Grace shown to the younger son. Let's move right on. 21, 22. The father said to his servants. You see, the father has servants. The son is the son. The servant is the servant. Don't confuse servants with sons or daughters. Don't confuse them. It has been confused in the church for so many years. People say, well, you are a servant of God. I'm sorry. Jesus actually says you are not servants at all. You are friends, and then you are sons and daughters. Not my words. Jesus actually says this. The father said to his servants, he has other people, those are servants. Bring forth the best robe, put it on him, put a ring on his hand, shoes on his feet. Bring the fatted calf, kill it, let us eat and be merry. Okay, let's look at it again. Bring out the robe, the ring, put it on him, put the ring, put shoes. Next one. We're going to prepare a feast of fatted calf, and we're going to eat it and be merry. How many did you count? 5 again. Think about that. Everywhere in the Bible, God shows you grace. God shows you how the father looks at the son who is not worthy. And he says, this is what we are going to have. We are going to be merry, because when the Bible says something, when one sinner repenteth, there is joy in the heavens. And that's what it is. This is a parable showing you how God thinks about you, how God looks at you, how God sees you as a son, as a daughter. You may have another perspective. You may say, I don't care. But it's not about how your perspective is. It's about how God looks at you. He looks at you and he is delighted in you. And you say, why? Why is he delighted in me? Pastor, you are wrong. You don't know what I have done in this life. You don't know what I have done. You don't know what I have associated myself with. You have no idea about my addictions. You have no idea what I did when I was young. You have no idea about my relationships. You have no idea about, I'm sick, I'm this. Yes, all of those can be from your perspective. But from God's perspective, he looks at you and is delighted in you. He says, look, my son, my daughter, come back home. Come back home. And look once again. Let's go back again. The best robe, Jesus given to you. Cloth with Christ. Put a ring, the authority given to you. Shoes, all right? Servants don't wear shoes at that time. You are son, you are daughter coming back home. Next one, the fatted calf. We're going to have a free feast. A feast, something that we discussed at the conference too. It's a free feast. It's a banquet. You don't bring anything to the free banquet. Free means what? Free. And we're going to eat together. No calories. And be merry. We are going to have a great time together because the Father says, look, my son, my daughter, you are home now. There will be great feasting. And all done because the Father was very prodigal. And that's why I can stand up here, many, many times throughout the months that you have known me, and some of you years and years. I tell you this many, many times. God is very unfair. God is a very unfair God. He is very, very unfair. And people fall down and people say, how can the pastor say that? Yes, God is very unfair. Let me repeat that. He is unfairly good to us. We cannot understand why He is that good to us. He is unfairly good to us. When we deserve nothing, He gave us everything. God is very unfair. He is unfairly good, kind, and loving towards us. He loved you. He loved me. And He paid everything He had to bring us home. Everything He had, which was Jesus. Everything the Father had was wrapped up in Jesus. And because of you, He took His most precious possession, and with that, He redeemed you. Because that was how precious you were to Him. That's how precious you are to Him. Just like this younger son. Precious and love. So you've already seen two prodigals in this story. The younger son was prodigal, and the father was prodigal. And next time we will continue with the other prodigal son. Amen?